What's up YouTube, and welcome to another edition of Canvas Convo. My name's Malcolm. On this series I like to break down very different controversial or big topics in pro wrestling that could possibly spark some debate in pro wrestling. So at first I talked about why Billy Corgan has revitalized National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. Then I talked about why Buddy Murphy vs. Mustafa Ali was the best main roster WWE match of 2018. And then finally I made a video on why Nick Aldis vs. Cody Rhodes from All In for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship was the match of the century. A lot of people didn't necessarily agree with that, but they did agree with some of the points I made. And that's what I kind of want to do on this video, but instead I want to talk about something that might be a little more controversial, maybe, but maybe not. I think a lot of people may actually agree with me. And that's the lack of African Americans becoming the world champion in professional wrestling. Now we've seen over time in WWE, there has been black wrestlers who have won championships. That means tag team or mid-card titles or even the world championship itself. But that really isn't the case that often in the WWE. Now we have seen world champions that are black in WWE. That's kind of where I want to establish the fact of what title I'm actually talking about. So when I say a WWE champion, I'm saying the title that is currently held by Daniel Bryan. Not the WCW championship, not the World Heavyweight Championship, not the Universal Championship, the WWE Championship. The same title that was held by the likes of Hulk Hogan and John Cena, the Ultimate Warrior, and Jinder Mahal, because it's like the only title he's ever won in WWE, or it is the only title he's ever won in WWE. So I think, it's that championship, the former spinner. And I want to talk about why there's never been a black wrestler to have won the WWE Championship. Now let's go ahead and get this part out the way. I know the first thing everyone is going to say, Malcolm, The Rock. Yes, The Rock is African American, and I'm not saying he is not black. I've seen this online, I've heard it in person too. There's so many different black wrestling fans, not saying all of them do, because I think we all know common sense. A big argument to kind of say The Rock wasn't the first black WWE champion is, oh, he's not black enough, he never acted black. What does that mean? To say The Rock isn't black is like saying that Barack Obama isn't black. I mean, they're both half African American. When I'm saying first black WWE champion, I'm saying this just so we all know the difference of what I'm talking about. A fully black WWE champion. Not half, not partial, not a fourth, not a quarter, none of that. Full, 100%, mom and dad both black. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not really saying he has to be the first black WWE champion. I'm mainly just saying a black WWE champion. And if you look at the history, there's never been a fully black WWE champion. Because I'm gonna go on record right now saying one of WWE's biggest signings of 2018, Keith Lee, will be the first ever full black, I guess if you really want to break it down that simple, but Keith Lee will be a black WWE champion. In 2018, I feel like we're seeing a lot more people of color actually get into pro wrestling and actually start to make a name for themselves. If you look at the independent scene right now, or even in WWE, there's plenty more black stars than there probably were a few years back. Even with the current rumors of independent wrestling stars ACH and Shane Strickland signing with the WWE, on top of the amazing black talent that are currently in the WWE right now, including the New Day, R-Truth, Leo Rush, Velveteen Dream, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, so many good black talents. And based off all the power that we're now seeing them get in the WWE, it's slowly but surely gonna occur when Triple H slowly, most likely, takes over the entire creative of the main roster. We've seen the work the man has done in NXT, as well as we can clearly tell the difference between who was actually running 205 Live in the beginning when it was Vince, and now when it's Triple H. And it's almost a fact that if there's one thing that Triple H is definitely going to do when he gets more and more power, he's going to make sure that the guys he went out his way to sign to the WWE become a big success. That way he also looks like someone who knows what he's doing. NXT is back to a point where they're now stacked with so many incredible talents. For your Ricochets and Adam Coles and the whole entire Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, and including one of their biggest signings this year so far, that being Keith Lee. Now if you guys don't know too much about Keith Lee, he is from Texas. He's had big runs and big time matches in almost any promotion that he shows up in, where himself and Shane Taylor had a dominant run as a tag team in Ring of Honor, to Lee becoming the first ever WWE champion in Evolve, also winning the PWG World title, and tearing it up in every single promotion he's been in outside the US. A WWE audience got their first look at Keith Lee at this year's WrestleMania Access, where he defended the WWE Championship against Cassius Ohno, and is now showcasing a style in WWE that we haven't seen since the likes of the days of like Bam Bam Bigelow or Vader, where someone of his size, who is well over that 300-pound mark, he's a big fella, can still move the ease of anyone on 205 Live. He's gone on record saying he doesn't like to be considered a good athlete for someone his size. He likes to be considered just a good athlete, which, watch a match or two. He really is. If you guys want to look up any type of matches he's done so far, I definitely recommend you watch his Beyond Wrestling matches with Donovan Dijak. If you want to see two big dudes define the odds of what a big man in wrestling can really do, that's the match you need to see. Because at that point, I didn't know if I was watching two dudes that are well over 6'2" and probably just about 300 pounds each, or if I was watching like Ricochet versus Leo Rush, because it was pretty much the same stuff. Now we're also still talking about the WWE, where Vince McMahon still loves himself some big men. While Lee is definitely a big dude, he's definitely like the most defined wrestler in the world when it comes to his physique. He has some pounds on him. Honestly, I wouldn't even consider the guy fat. He's just a big dude. You know, like there's a difference between fat and just being big. Fat is like Big Daddy V. That's fat. Big, that's more like Keith Lee. Look at him. But the way the man carries himself and his mannerisms definitely defines everything about what a world champion should be in the WWE. His gimmick of being very calm, cool, and collected, it can work as a heel or a face, which gives the creative team on the main roster to really sway his character any way they really want to. He can come out there in a suit and tie and talk the same way as he could if he came out in like nose tights and just wanted to fight fella. That can be taken in so many different ways. Honestly, if you put a world championship on him and you conducted multiple sit-down interviews with like, I don't know, Charlie Caruso or Renee Young, someone, he can definitely carry himself in a way that almost reflects a young version of Muhammad Ali. I'm gonna play a clip of a Muhammad Ali interview and also a Keith Lee promo, and I definitely think you guys can see the comparisons. Just ever so slightly, but enough that like if WWE creative wanted to sway his character in a way to make him look more like Muhammad Ali, he's clearly a very clear, concise, and intellectual person, that it honestly really could work out in his favor. I'll show you guys.
And I'm better now than I was when you saw that 22-year-old undeveloped kid running from Sunderland. But the man's in trouble. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
I've always been an advocate of assumptions get you in trouble. And what you see out of me may not fit the description of what you think I am. You can't measure what's limitless.
Now, when The Rock won his first ever WWE Championship at Survivor Series, the WWE never even brought up the fact that he was their first ever black champion. Not necessarily saying like they needed to do that, because like you don't really need to acknowledge the fact, oh, he's the first black WWE champion. But in terms of having a feel-good moment, I mean, to bring it up is actually pretty historic. On top of the fact that we're giving you guys a lot of, good press. To say that this unorthodox wrestling company just crowned their first ever African-American world champion. Now, if Keith Lee or any black wrestler would become WWE champion, storyline going into it should not be because he's black, he's trying to overcome the odds and fight for the people, fight for his community, and become the champion and bring it home for the brothers back home. That's not how you should do it. You should make it like, oh my god, this guy wants to be world champ, trying to go after that. And maybe every now and then you might bring up the fact that he's African American, but it's not necessarily the focal point of the entire plot. Never ever should race be considered a primary source for a plot device. And if it is, honestly, I just don't think the WWE is the right company to try to do that. Personally, I think a lot of people could agree. I don't think they have the right people to really put forth that kind of writing.
Truth be told, I'm not a very big fan of the black people.
Keep it up, I'm a nigga.
That nigga's tripping.
As we can tell, it wasn't necessarily all about his race, but if you look at the Booker T Triple H saga from, I believe, 2002, a lot of that had to do with Booker T being African American, but when they said you people, he really meant WCW wrestlers. We're not dumb. So if anything, I feel like if WWE would go out their way to really make sure this guy does become world champion, which I feel like whenever he gets called into the main roster, he's definitely going to be protected to a degree. He is such a massive guy. He really is athletic. His character can honestly lead in any way they really want to make it. You have a guy that's so set up for success that it's really hard to see how WWE can book him in a way that would make him look like anything less than a world champion, or at least a main eventer. Now the biggest thing is like, oh, but that should be Kofi Kingston. That should be Big E. That should be fill in the blank African American wrestler. I'm not saying they can't be. The talent on the main roster in the NXT right now that are African American, they're all really good. Now, one thing I actually got while looking up a bunch of information on like people's thoughts on like having the first black WWE champion actually came from a clip from a podcast called Breakfast with Blasey, where he basically just said it in simple facts. I mean, has there really been a guy in the WWE so far that has had every tool that checks everyone like the little Vince McMahon boxes of what he considers to be someone that can win a WWE championship? And when you look at it, has there really been, besides The Rock, has there really been a guy that's been the total package? And I'm not talking about Lex Luger. That has every single quality needed to be a world champion. Is he someone that you can market yourself around? I'm not saying he has to be the best in-ring guy. I mean, John Cena isn't the best in-ring wrestler of all time. Same thing goes for Hogan. Hogan wasn't even that good. He just had a really good character. How many of the current black superstars or former black superstars are really good on the microphone? Also probably have the size that Vince McMahon probably likes as well, because Vince is all about the big sweaty men. And if you look at the simple facts, I mean, that's a lack of creative actually pushing the guy, or just a lack of the talent not necessarily being that whole main package, main roster, main event package that WWE may be looking for, or someone they can put their world championship on. I don't really see anyone that really ticked every single box. Maybe Mark Henry, but with the backing of Triple H, the guy has incredible size and incredible speed and athletic ability, on top of having a character that people will cheer for and will have a genuine reaction, and a character that can easily be written in any way creative really wants to. Keith Lee, in my mind at least, ticks every single box that's needed to be a WWE champion. Hence why I feel like he could be the first ever full I guess if that's what you guys want to consider it. Full African-American WWE champion. On top of just speaking for like the community, I guess. Like, he's a pretty good representative. He's not someone who's out here with any sort of black stereotype, which we all know them. I don't even really need to get into that. We all know stereotypes. That can be seen in any type of negative light. I mean, the guy, he speaks properly, he's clearly an intelligent dude, and he seems like someone that'd be a great representative for the black community, at least in the black wrestling community, if that makes sense. I just think Keith Lee's the perfect guy to put that world championship on. If you're gonna put it on anyone, it should be Keith Lee. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is mainly just a conversation start. I just want to see what you guys have to say about this. Do you guys think Keith Lee will be the first black, or a black WWE champion? What's your thoughts on The Rock being the first black WWE champion, but it was never actually acknowledged by the WWE? Do you feel like they even need to acknowledge that? Do they need to acknowledge when they crown the first ever blank-de-blank WWE champion? If it's first black, Asian, white, which that's a lot of people. Do they need to acknowledge when someone of a different race actually accomplishes something that someone else in that same race pool haven't done before? But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to like, comment, share, always subscribe, and we outie.
Keith Lee, the man of the hour, the king of the ring, intelligence and power, the best versus the greatest. He'll make you famous. One spirit bomb and your whole life changes. Bask in my